Leave is not granted. Honourable Annette King.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. The quote was so good that I've got to repeat it again, Mr Speaker. Oh, what a tangled web we weave when first we practice to deceive. Now, that was said over 200 years ago by Walter Scott, but how appropriate that quote is today to describe the mire and the muck that the National Party has got itself into. What we've seen is one cover-up followed by another cover-up, followed by another. We've had a daily dose now of expose as we uncover the deceit that's been going on. You know, it's a bit like watching the dance of the seven veils. Slowly each cover-up and deceit is being exposed, yet to find another one. So the veil of secrecy is being lifted. But, Mr Speaker, it's not being lifted by an open and a transparent and an honest government. No, it has been opened by the work of investigative journalists, by opposition politicians, by commentators, by the media and by the public. And it's like drawing blood from a stone to get the answers out of this government, of what they have been up to. And the whole issue, the whole spying issue of GCSB and who was spying on who and who knew and who didn't know, it reads like a whole series of John le Carré novels. It could be the one that was called The Delicate Truth, or maybe it's the one called The Most Wanted Man. Or what about Our Kind of Traitor? Or then there's the one called The Perfect Spy, or The Spy That Came In From the Cold. And if you've ever read those books, you will know that the intelligence service has the code name The Circus. Well, what a great name for what's been going on in the National Party over the GCS bill and all the goings-on of their spies, counter-spies. In fact, it would make Maxwell Smart look like he was smart, the behaviour that's going on. Of course, the head of the service in those books is called Control. And the control of this whole debacle is the head of the web of deceit, John Key. John Key is at the head, he is at the centre of this web of deceit that they have spun around themselves. And he is responsible for much of what we're seeing going on now, because he is the master at covering and hiding what is happening within our spy services. He's the one that refuses to let us have an independent review of those services. He has resisted. All he wants is one vote, just one bought vote. The bought vote of Peter Dunn. That's all he wanted to get it over the line to get his bill passed. And sitting on his shoulder is his puppet. Sitting on his shoulder is Wayne Eggleson, the person that is the mouthpiece of the Prime Minister. When you're talking to him, you're talking to the Prime Minister. And I find it absolutely outrageous that Wayne Eggleson was seeking the telephone records of journalists from within Parliament here. That is what the person on the shoulder of the Prime Minister, in the name of the Prime Minister, was doing. So how did this all start? It all started with John Banks having a cup of tea with the Prime Minister to stitch up a deal to get him back into Parliament, and we got the teapot tapes. Then what happened? We had .com raided by the police, who rings up his best friend John Banks, who had given $50,000 to in a donation, plus a brown paper bag of money from Sky City, who wouldn't give him any help. So then John Key denies all knowledge of the person that's living in the mansion in his electorate. In fact, there you have in the web the electorate office, because the electorate office rings the Prime Minister and says, hey, there's a German living in the electorate. We don't know anything about him, but he's a big German living in the electorate. The Prime Minister says he knows nothing about it. And so what do we have? We have the GCSB illegally spying on 88 New Zealanders. We have the Defence spying on journalists, calling them subversive. and thinking it's legal that they can spy and look at their telephone records and their metadata. We have the Prime Minister, through Eagleson, asking for the phone records not only of just their parliamentary phone line, but their home phone line and their cell phone, the home phone line, the parliamentary line and the cell phone of Andrea Barnes. That's the Prime Minister. Then we have Peter Dunn. He's here. He leaks a story to a journalist about a report into spying, and then he's being spied on. This is a tangle web they have woven, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Member Paul Foster-Bell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.